Get into it. We are about to get into this conversation. Listen, this one I'm super excited about because I feel like I'm going to be talking about some things in a different way than hopefully you have heard it before. And if so, let me know in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up if something that I'm going to say, or something that I will say, or something that I do say, if it lands a little bit differently, if it resonates a little bit differently, if it's something that you've never heard before, let me know. Let me know, okay? Also, if you can see and hear me okay, please give this video a thumbs up because I have been having some technical issues lately, and I just want to make sure that y'all can see and hear me okay, all right? So I want to start off this conversation by asking you to tap into your imagination. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine. I want you to picture two women. These two women have the same job, they have the same salary, they have equal performance reviews, and they have the same number of years at a company, at this particular company. So one Wednesday afternoon, both of these women get called into HR, okay? On Monday morning, so we know, listen, we know what happens with the HR call, right? So on Monday morning, one of them is panicking. Like, she is stressed. She cannot sleep. She is recalculating her budget over and over and over in her head. She is texting her husband. She is Googling what to do after a layoff at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then there's the other woman. She's inconvenienced by that meeting with HR. She's annoyed by it, because who wouldn't be annoyed? And she has to reschedule a few things. She's going to have to update her calendar. She's not scared though. She ain't never scared because her job was never her only plan. See, the difference between those two women is not confidence. It's not the credentials, because remember, they're equal for equal. We're literally comparing apples to apples here, right? And I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. So remember, I said they were equal for equal, right? So it's not confidence, but it's not a confidence thing between these two. It is not a credentials thing. It's not even savings, because both of these women have savings accounts, because savings accounts, they matter. The difference between these two women is ownership, because one of those women owned her income and the other one of those women rented it. And I want to talk today about what it means to own your income, because most of us have been taught a version of financial safety that was never really safe. We were taught to get a job. We were taught to perform well, get promoted, and build your career, right? And all of that is real. That is real. And it all has value. But somewhere in that curriculum, somebody left out the part about what happens when the institution changes its mind. And guess what? Institutions do change their minds. And I know it because it happened to me. And I want to introduce you to what I think might be one of the most expensive phrases that we use and we have normalized, and we say it all the time. And that phrase is side hustle. And it's not because the hustle ain't real, because the hustle is real. And it's not because the work isn't happening, right? Because you're doing work. It's because this word, we need to just scrap it from our vocabulary, because the minute you call something a side hustle, you give yourself permission to treat it like a hobby. You postpone that thing when you're tired. You undercharge because it doesn't feel official enough. You talk about it in a particular tone, the one where your voice gets a little smaller, and then you start adding all these qualifiers at the end. I've been kind of trying to do, before you even describe it. And then one day your job makes a decision without you, and suddenly the thing that you've been minimizing, that becomes the thing that you wish you would have built or taken more seriously. A side hustle is something you do. An income stream is something you own, okay? And I really want that to stick as we go through this conversation today. And by the time we're done here, I want you to see your skills, your experience, and your next chapter in a completely different light. Welcome back to another episode of Nick at Noon. My name is Nick Scott. I am the founder and CEO of Her Income Edit. We are an online education platform that is designed to help women turn their skills into coaching income, digital products, and online businesses so they can earn more, depend less on traditional employment, and design a life on their terms. That is my mission. That is literally the mission of Her Income Edit, okay? If you haven't already, I want you to go get your notebook and your pen or whatever it is that you take notes on. Share the link to this video in the group chat. Text it to your biz bestie because we are about to get deeper into it. Now, I've been thinking a lot about what people buy when they hire someone. And I used to believe it was about identity. That people buy into who you are, right? They buy how you present. They buy the brand that you've built, right? But I've come to the conclusion that it's something deeper than that. Because nobody truly hires the most qualified person. They hire the person who seems to understand and know the role of the job the clearest, right? And I want you to think about that. Because when you're looking for someone to help you solve a problem, you're not running a credential audit. You're looking for certainty. You're asking, does this person know where we're going? Do they seem sure? Will I feel safe if I follow them? And certainty is what closes the sale, the hiring. It closes the deal. Certainty is what converts. And here's what creates certainty in how you show up for your work. Owning it like your work is real. That's what creates certainty. So when you call your work a side hustle, you are literally amplifying and broadcasting uncertainty. And you're not doing it on purpose or because you don't believe in what you're doing. You are doing it because the word itself is built on something that's not permanent. A hustle is something you run until something better comes along. But an income stream, a true stream of income, it is something that you create. It is something that you build. It is something that you protect. It is something that you grow. Okay? Listen, the market doesn't respond to hedged language. It responds to clarity. It doesn't respond to ambiguity. It responds to clarity. And the women who say, I help professional women turn their skills into income, and I can say that with a calm and settled energy, that type of woman will outperform any woman who says, I kind of do coaching on the side. I will outperform somebody like that every single time, even if we have identical skills. And here's what I want you to think about. You have been building certainty for someone else your entire life, your entire career, your entire existence. Like every year you show up, every year you perform, deliver, and make your job and your employer more confident in their decision to keep you around, you are investing your clearest, most capable self into their vision of their future. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. You know, I never want anything that I say to be misconstrued as anti-corporate content because that's not what I'm saying. I'm not anti-corporate. I am pro options. I am pro freedom. I am pro safety. I am pro getting your ducks in order, getting your ducks in a row before they need to get in a row. That's what I'm about, okay? But the question, that I really want you to think about is, what would happen if you directed even a fraction of that time and that same certainty towards something of your own? Because some of us have spent 20 years becoming indispensable at our jobs while remaining completely replaceable financially. And that's not a character flaw. It's a design flaw in how we were taught to think about safety. We've been taught to think about job safety and financial safety like they're the same thing, and they're not even close to the same thing, because job safety means your manager, your CEO still needs you today. That's what job safety means. Financial safety means that whether or not they need you, you're going to be okay. And those are two completely different situations. And most women are living in that first one, but they're calling it the second one. So most women are living in job safety, but they're calling it financial safety. We have built incredible job safety, but we haven't built income safety. And again, those are not the same thing. So the woman who understands the difference between those, she is not waiting for a layoff to start creating, to start building, to start getting that safety in place. Remember, I said you got to get the ducks in the row before it's time to get the ducks in the row. So the woman who is building now, while she still has income, while she has time to learn without desperation driving every decision, she is going to create that income safety. And here's the thing, when something happens, whether it's a health situation, whether it's a family situation, whether it's a partner situation, whether it's a job situation, whatever happens that causes disruption, and then you have to scramble and you're making decisions out of desperation. Listen, desperation is expensive. It makes you undercharge. It makes you take clients who you would never even want to work with. It makes you say yes to everything because you need the money right now instead of building the thing that you could be building for the long run, because you're making these decisions out of fear, basically. And the type of clarity I'm talking about, y'all, it isn't just how you present yourself to the world. It is the internal decision that says, I am not available to be caught off guard by one system, by one institution, by one organization, by one company's choice. And that decision right there, it changes how you move. It changes what you create. It changes what you build. It changes what you charge. And it starts with the language. There is power in words. There is power in this tongue, y'all. And it starts with the language about how you speak about your own work. Again, a side hustle is something you do. An income stream is something you own. I want you to write that down if you're taking notes. And if you're not taking notes, drop it in the chat, drop it in the comments, say it out loud. Say it different and keep saying it until you can feel that, okay? Listen, I want to know if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, tell me what is the thing that you know that you've just been calling, just something, a side hustle, just something I help with, just something I know a lot about. Drop it down in the comments. I just want to see what it is without the just, right? So now let's talk about what is happening financially when 100% of your income comes from one source, because I want to give you the math behind what we're really talking about today, okay? In personal finance, there is a principle called concentration risk. Have you heard about that? Give this video a thumbs up. Drop a number 1 in the chat if you've heard about concentration risk. What concentration risk means is that when all of your assets are in one place, any single event can wipe everything out. I gave a few examples a few moments ago. I said, a life situation, a health situation. I said a partner situation, a family situation, a job situation, right? Financial advisors, they spend their entire careers helping people diversify their investments to avoid concentration risk. So you don't put all your money in one stock. You don't bet everything on one sector, because concentration creates vulnerability. And diversification creates resilience. This is why diversity is so important, not just in the workplace, but in all areas of our life. So the diversification principle that applies to your investment portfolio, it applies to your income too. But here's the thing that nobody says. We have normalized income concentration and we call it stability. I'm talking about one employer, one paycheck, one budget cycle, one reorganization away from everything changing for you. That is not stability. That's a single point of failure with a direct deposit. One paycheck isn't safety, it's concentration. And I want to be very clear about something here, because this conversation can go sideways real fast. This conversation can go sideways real fast, okay? And I don't want to let that happen. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I am not in the business of encouraging women to blow up their financial stability in pursuit of a dream. That is not what I do. That's not what I teach. What I do teach is I don't teach women to quit their jobs. I teach them how to make one job. I teach them how to make sure that one job never gets to decide their future. That's what I teach them. That is a completely different conversation. That is a less dramatic conversation, right? And it's the one that's truly available to most of us right now, today, without burning anything down. Because here's what building a second stream of income from your skills actually looks like. This is what it requires. It does not require you to have a big audience. It does not require you to go viral. It does not require a logo or a fancy website or a business plan or a brand kit or 3 months of runway of savings before you start. What it does require is one thing, and that is packaging what you already know in a way that someone else can buy it. Listen, every promotion will increase your salary, but every stream of income that you create alongside your salary, it increases your freedom. Your salary and your second and third and fourth streams of income, those are not the same types of currency. A salary promotion means you've earned more within a system that still controls you. An income stream, it means that you've created a revenue source that exists whether or not your employer has a good quarter or not. A good year, a good day, shoot. Listen, a promotion, it makes you more valuable to them. But a second, third, fourth stream of income, it makes you less dependent on them. And I want to say something about the word ownership while I'm talking about this, because I think it has been co-opted by hustle culture in a way that has hurt a lot of women. So ownership does not mean that you grind harder. We ain't grinding all our life, okay? It doesn't mean that you sacrifice your health or your relationships or your sleep or your sense of self for the sake of building a business and building a brand. That is not what I'm talking about. That version of entrepreneurship, it was designed by and for a very specific kind of person. And that person that person is not most of the women that I work with. Because, you have a full-time job, you have a full-time life. You don't have time to sacrifice more of yourself so that you can build a business. Ownership means that you have stake, okay? It means that you have something that is yours, something that generates value, whether you're in a meeting, whether you're on vacation, whether your job is in a growth phase or a restructuring phase, or whether or not the economy is cooperating, right? And that right there is the goal. Exhaustion is not the goal. Hustle is not the goal. Ownership is the goal, y'all. Again, employment is rented income. Ownership, though, it creates lasting income. It is permanent income. It's income that you own. Now, here's what I want to just really start to bridge for you here, okay? I want to start to connect some dots because we're building towards something and I want you to feel what I'm saying. You've been creating outcomes for other people your entire life. Every result you've produced, every problem you solved, every system you've built, every team you've led, every patient you've cared for, every student you've moved forward, every stakeholder you've managed, you are creating outcomes and all of that, right? When I was hired at my last job, I wasn't hired because I had knowledge, right? Like hundreds, probably thousands of people applied for that same position that I was hired for. So all those people had knowledge, right? That's not why I was hired. I stayed employed. They kept me around until they didn't, but they kept me around because I created outcomes. That's why they kept me around, because outcomes sell. Like, that's what people want. People want outcomes, and outcomes can be packaged. Outcomes can be taught. Outcomes can become the foundation of something that belongs to you, okay? Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. I see the love on YouTube. How are y'all doing on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day? So, if ownership is the goal and your outcomes are the asset, the next question that probably comes to mind is, what's the easiest path to building that first income stream from what you know, right? Drum roll. It's coaching. And I said it like that intentionally because I want to give you a second to notice your reaction when I said that word. Because a lot of women, they have one of two reactions. Either I've thought about that before, or the other reaction is that's not for me. And I'm going to speak to both of those reactions. So for the women who have thought about coaching, I want you to stay with me because I want to give you something to think about, just a perspective that makes the path to coaching a whole lot more clear for you, okay? And then for the women who immediately felt like, girl, that's not for me, I'm going to ask you to hold that thought for about 5 or 10 minutes because I think the version of coaching that you are picturing in your head right now, it might not be the one that I'm describing, okay? So wherever you are, I want you to stay with me for this one, okay? So here is the most basic definition of coaching that I can give you. Coaching is simply helping someone move from where they are to where they want to be using the skills and the knowledge and the expertise and the experience that you already have. That is literally it. Like, you don't need a certification for that. You don't need to have a niche locked in. You don't need a website and audience. All you need is to have figured something out. You need to have someone else who is trying to figure that thing out. And then you need to close the gap between them. So you need to have figured something out. You need to have someone else who is trying to figure that something out, and you need to close that gap. That's all coaching is. So if you've ever mentored someone at work or, in your community, and you watch this person grow and you watch the person you mentored at work get promoted, you coach them. If you've ever been the person that your friends call when they don't know what to do, you have coached them. If you have ever helped someone navigate a health decision, a financial decision, a career decision, and they came back later to tell you how it turned out, guess what? You have coaching instinct. And the difference between doing that for free and doing it as an income stream, it's not talent, it's structure. Now, I want to address the thing I know you're probably thinking in the back of your head right now. And that objection is, well, someone who is more qualified should be doing this, not me. Now, let me say something about that. Because the woman who has spent 12 years in education, adapting her approach for 30 different learning styles, building relationships with families under stress, producing results in an underfunded and unfunded system, she understands human behavior. She understands communication. She understands resilience at a level that most business consultants have never been tested on. So her credentials aren't on a wall because they're in her results. Or think about the woman who spends 20 years, 2 decades in government navigating bureaucracy, building coalitions and getting things done in environments where nothing moves fast. Listen, if you've ever worked in the government, you know what I'm talking about. This woman, she understands influence. She understands process. She understands long-term thinking in a way that individuals and organizations would pay serious money to learn. I see the love on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining. Listen, the market doesn't pay for credentials. It pays for clarity. It pays for results. And someone who has already figured out what you're still figuring out or what this other person is still figuring out, that's what people pay for. You have already figured things out. You spent years figuring things out. You spent your whole life figuring things out. Why? How do I know that? Because you and I are not very different. And here's the part that I think is severely underappreciated in this conversation. We are in a moment where people have more access to information than any other point in human history. Like, people can search anything in the palm of their hand, right? They can find a video on almost any topic. They can get technically accurate answer from any of these AI assistants and AI bots and AI agents in seconds, right? What they can't find is someone who has lived what they're trying to do. They can't find somebody who's going to sit with them, who's going to hold them accountable and help them apply this general information to their specific situation. And that gap right there is only going to get bigger. Like, it's only going to get bigger. The information economy is saturated, y'all. The transformation economy is wide open, and professional women with real world experience are exactly what the economy is looking for. So, ownership is the goal. Your outcomes are the asset. Coaching is the vehicle. And I want to tell you exactly what makes that vehicle start moving. Okay? Now, remember at the beginning of this conversation, I asked you to close your eyes and imagine. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. I asked you to close your eyes and imagine, and I talked about these two women. I want to go back to those two women at the beginning, okay? And if you're just joining live, you might want to go catch this on the replay on my YouTube channel so you can get caught up on what we're getting ready to talk about here. So let's go back to those two women. The one who was panicking and the one who was inconvenienced, right? I want to tell you who the second woman is because I think she's someone you might not have expected. So the second woman that I talked about in that, that scenario, she was not a trust fund kid. She wasn't someone who inherited money or married into it or got lucky with the startup. She wasn't necessarily someone with more years of experience than you or more degrees than you or more connections than you either. The woman that I described at the beginning, she is a woman who made a decision. And she decided at some point that her financial future was too important to leave completely in someone else's hands. And so she built something small. She built her first offer. She had a first client. And then from that, she created a second income stream that had nothing to do with her job's next budget meeting. So she didn't build that because she was brave. She built it because she did the math. And the math said one source of income is a single point of failure. And she said to herself, girl, you are too smart for that. And I want to give you just a few things that I want you to take with you from this conversation today. First of all, your 9-to-5 is a resource. It is not a ceiling. I'm going to say that again. And if you're taking notes, I want you to personalize this thing. I want you to write down my 9-to-5 is a resource. It is not a ceiling. Your 9-to-5 should be the first investor in your business. It should be funding your next chapter. If you let it, it should be funding your next chapter. Your 9-to-5 was never meant to be your only chapter. Okay? The next thing is the skills that you use for free every day, the skills that you are giving away for free every day are someone else's paid curriculum. Somewhere right now, I guarantee it, there is a woman who would pay a premium to know what you know. And it's not because she can't find the information, because like I just said, information is in abundance. It's because she wants someone who has lived the thing. And then the third point that I want to make is we have normalized dependence and we call it stability. Remember, we kind of talked about that at the beginning too. We have normalized dependence. We are dependent on these jobs. And then we're calling it stability. And that, what I just said just now, I want you really to think about that, because I think this is where a lot of the emotional weight lives for us. Because we have been really, really good at our jobs. We've shown up, we have performed, we have delivered, we have built careers that we're proud of, right? And the narrative that we were handed, it said that doing all the things, that was the path to safety. And we believed it. I believed it. A lot of very smart, talented, brilliant, hardworking women believe it. But guess what, y'all? The rules have changed. The rules have shifted. And then We realized that the safety we've been building was as only as stable as our employer's next quarterly decision. Some of us have spent 20 years becoming indispensable at work while remaining completely financially replaceable. And that is not a character flaw. That is a gap in the blueprint that we were given. And this ain't all doom and gloom, because the good news is, the real good news is that this is not a permanent condition. It is a solvable problem. And the solution is already inside you. It is already inside you. And I want to say something that I want you to feel. I want you to feel me in this, not just think it, okay? You are not behind. You are not behind. Listen, you are not behind. You are not behind. I don't care how old you are. I'm sitting in front of you as a whole middle-aged 48-year-old woman, okay? As of the time that this live is being streamed. 48 years old, and I am rebuilding. I am starting over. You are not behind. You are unpackaged. You don't have a structure. Everything that you have accumulated, the knowledge, your experience, your outcomes, all the things that you've created for other people, it's all there, and it's real, and it's tangible, and it has value. The only thing that's missing is the structure that turns all of that into something that people can buy. And here is what I want you to understand about that structure. It's not complicated. If I can do it, you can do it. It is not a 10-step framework. If all the other women that I have coached through this can do it, you can do it. It's not going to take you 6 months to learn it. All it requires is a decision, and then a package, and then a conversation. You have to decide what you're offering. You have to clearly package it, and then you need to have the conversation with the right people. That is the whole game in this. It's literally that simple. I'm going to say it again. And if you've been watching, say it with me. A side hustle is something you do. An income stream is something you own. And I have said that a few times today. I'm going to say it again right now. A side hustle is something you do. An income stream is something you own. Listen, I want this to be the thing that you're still thinking about tomorrow morning. A side hustle is something I do. An income stream is something I own. Because by now you've probably noticed something. Nothing that we've talked about today requires another degree. I have multiple degrees, and I'm sure a lot of you that are under the sound of my voice watching this have multiple degrees too. Shoot, Black women, we got more degrees than any other segment of the population in this country. Right? So nothing that I've talked about requires you to get another degree. None of it requires a bigger audience, or for you to have a verified social media account or a perfectly designed brand. None of this requires you to quit your job or explain yourself to anybody. And it doesn't require you to wait until you feel quote unquote ready. It requires packaging. It requires structure. And that is exactly why I built 2K in 2 hours to help you do that. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. I see the love on YouTube. So 2K in 2 hours is the framework for packaging what you already know into a coaching offer that you can get your first clients and sell your first offer for $2,000 or more. And I'm not talking about $2,000 one of these days. I'm talking about $2,000 from a conversation that you could have this week with a person who already exists in your life, and $2,000 from a problem that you already know how to solve. That's what I'm talking about. So inside this micro course, you get the framework for building your offer. You're going to get 5 done for you templates that you can customize to your skills and to where you are in your life right now and to your market. You're going to get pricing guidance that's built around your experience, and you're going to get sales conversation structure that moves someone from curious to committed without feeling like you're being salesy, okay? It literally, I mean, just imagine you taking 2 focused hours of work, going through this micro course, and after 2 hours, you have a complete priced and ready to sell coaching offer that can generate your first $2,000 or more, so you can start to become that second woman that I described at the beginning of this video. And when you go to my website at herincomeedit.com/2K, or you click the link down in the description, you're going to notice the price of this. And I priced it this way on purpose. And it's because I don't want cost to be the thing that stands between you and your next stream of income. I really wanted to remove, with this micro course, I want to remove every possible reason for anybody who wants to get into this industry. I wanted to remove every possible reason for them to wait. Okay? Again, the link for 2K in 2 hours is down in the description if you're on YouTube, or you can go to my website at herincomeedit.com/2K. And if you want to even go deeper than that, if you want the full build, if you want the full guidance and the full support, the full strategy, you want the whole experience in this that takes you from your first offer to your first high ticket client in 90 days, that's my group coaching program, Ignite, okay? But to get started, start with 2K in 2 hours. Go to the website, click the link down in the description, because the most dangerous financial decision that you can make right now isn't starting something, it's waiting. Because every month you wait is another month where 100% of your financial future depends on a decision that is being made somewhere without you in the room. You have been the most qualified person in that room your entire career. And you know it, I know it, we know it, they know it. That's why they keep you around. It is time to build a room of your own, okay? All right? Listen, if something I said in this conversation made you go, I want you to drop a number 1 in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up, okay? I want to thank each and every one of you for popping in and out of today's live. You did not go unnoticed. Thanks so much for joining. Thanks so much for the love. I appreciate you. My name is Nick Scott. This has been another episode of Nick at Noon. We had several interruptions today, y'all. Like, my Instacart shopper is like replacing things that, girl, that does not even match. Like, what are you doing? And then I had text messages coming, meeting invites popping up. We had all types of stuff going on today. Okay. So thanks for hanging in there with me. My name is Nick Scott. This has been another episode of Nick at Noon. I am here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Mountain Time. Hopefully something that I have said in this conversation will help you along your journey. Hopefully, I will see you inside of 2K in 2 hours. Again, the link is down in the description, or you can go to my website at herincomeedit.com/2K. And I will